People have this thing about integrity. This is why they have no money, because integrity, it's not that you have it or you don't have it. You're either in integrity or out of integrity. Back in the day, handshake it, let's get it going. And it's the speed of trust. I got a lot smarter my second year. I hired all my friends at $10 an hour. I bought weed eaters at Home Depot, and they would go out and I'd be on the lake all day and they'd be mowing my lots all day. I'm gonna go buy up all these properties, massive passive income, and I'm just going to spend time with my kids and protect them from the world. With technology, AI, and Bitcoin, everything's changing faster than the speed of life. The only thing I don't believe in is 401ks.
All right, welcome to another CashFlow Quest. We got a good friend of mine from a bunch of different angles, from the river, from faith, family stuff. So Dr. Matt Hubbard, welcome to the CashFlow Quest, buddy.
I'm a little bit nervous, to tell you the truth. CashFlow Quest, I need more cash flow. This is very fitting.
I know that you and I have had some conversations, but share with Jen and I kind of your kickoff into the chiropractic realm. Was that your first business? Like, where do you want to start?
Yeah, I would say that's my most passionate thing. But it wasn't my first business. You know, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad was a land developer. My mom was into real estate. They had a brokerage together. And then our family as a whole, mom, dad, uncles, everybody, were in the restaurant business. So I grew up and we were either talking real estate or restaurants. So growing up in that type of family, you know, when I was 15, we lived on a lake in Northern California, Lake of the Pines, and I wanted to ski every day. And my dad's like, you know, son, gas costs, you know, the boat costs money, gas. He started showing me. I'm like, oh. Well, I realized, you know, I couldn't keep hitting them up for money all the time. The day I turned 16, I'd been saving for a year. My mom, you know, real estate agent up there, she got me the list of every lot that was empty in this association, this huge master plan lake. Thousands of homes, thousands of lots. And what happened was, if your lot wasn't mowed by July 1st, the association would do it and send you the bill. Well, I knew there's an opportunity. So at 15, I spent that year, I got 30 lots at $150 a lot. I got a lot smarter my second year. I hired all my friends at $10 an hour. I bought weed eaters at Home Depot. And they would go out and I'd be on the lake all day and they'd be mowing my lots all day. So that's how it started. Then I went to my brother. I was 18. My brother was 16. He had a radical experience with the chiropractor who I thought was a quack. You know, he was my best friend's dad, lived 4 or 5 houses down from us. I was wrestling with my brother one day, beating him around on the lawn, and I tweaked his neck a little bit. So I literally paid him $20 not to tell my mom and dad, ran down the street, asked Dr. Call, hey, can you adjust my brother? I just tweaked his neck. He adjusted my brother. He said, come back tomorrow. So the next day, I gave him $20. My brother, again, for not saying anything, went down. He adjusted my brother. And long story short, just by a matter of events, my mom was asking, hey, who needs their inhaler, you know, filled up. My brother had almost died multiple times, was in the hospital. His first 3 years of life, we just all knew he had asthma. Anything could trigger it. He could run, triggered. He, you know, get stressed, trigger. Like, it was like anything would set him off asthma attack. I mean, it was very scary. So we all had inhalers, cars, pockets, you know. But my mom goes, hey, who needs a refill? And my brother goes, oh, that's so weird. I haven't had an asthma attack in like 2 weeks. And my best friend goes, oh yeah, probably ever since my dad adjusted. I said, dude, your dad's a quack. What the heck are you talking about? And he goes, well, go ask him. So I went down and I asked Dr. Call, hey, could you have affected my brother's asthma at all? And he goes, well, chiropractic isn't the panacea of all things, not an asthma treatment, but this is how it could possibly do it.
So that caused you to have an interest in just health and the ability to heal?
It blew my mind, but I couldn't really study it. And the more I'd ask people about chiropractic, you'd just be like, nobody really knew. And then when you meet someone that went to chiropractic care, you had to be a little bold. They were so over the top. I'm like, why are people so passionate about this? They either did not know, there was no middle ground. Or they were over the top. So then I had a little bit of a rebel spirit. You know, I was a pretty wild kid. And so my mom and dad, pretty conservative Christians, they said, hey, can you do us a favor? Will you go to a Christian college just for 1 year? we're really worried about you because we think if you go to any college, you're going to go crazy. And I'm like, okay, what's the caveat? Well, if you go to 1 year at one of these 3 Christian colleges, we'll pay for you to go to school anywhere. Anybody could suffer for 1 year in Santa Barbara. So I went to Westmont, and while I was there, I just mentioned I might look into chiropractic school. And the lady that was over the kinesiology department was so irritated. Like, I just hit a sacred cow. Nobody from this college goes to chiropractic college. Like, so offensive. I go, and I looked right at her and I said, chiropractic changed my brother's life because he never had asthma since. Now he's an 06 in the Navy, kicking ass, most highly decorated N2 officer in our Navy as of this year. And he's bad to the bone. Now he's like making the biggest decisions for our country. And yet you're going to tell me chiropractic? So I went back at her. And then my rebel spirit kicked in. And I said, so my freshman year, I just decided I'm going to go no matter what, just to show them I'll be the first chiropractor to ever graduate from Westmont. Sure enough, that's what happened. Then I was so irritated with that. I went back and I spoke at the kinesiology department every year after that. And so I split half the kines department to chiropractic or PT. Yeah, I was like, let's go.
Okay, this is an interesting point because sometimes it takes an event like that to have like a spark. She was your driver. It was like the belief that it wasn't good enough, or, nobody from this college would do that. It like gave you that fire to maybe you would have made a different decision if she wouldn't have been so passionate about her no.
Yeah, it's true. I see that a lot.
There's a book by Patrick Bet-David called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. You don't realize it's amazing to listen to because all these memories start coming back of exactly why you chose to have such focus in those moments. And it's those little comments from somebody that maybe now doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it's like, man, they gave me that fire for that 6 months to crush that.
Oh, I still like... you figured I'd get more mature as I get older, but no, I still get so fired. I'm like, oh yeah,
Well, and so the book's about choosing and aligning your trajectory with good, like the concept of enemies, but like the right ones, right? So like
alliances to really then propel even further, faster.
Yeah, like for me, it was school. Like I in the day, I don't really care that much anymore. Like, but I still really probably won't send my kids to college unless it's very specific. But like I drew a lot of fire and energy to figure stuff out because I wanted to beat that concept. I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm gonna beat all those college kids,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. My uncle, he was the same way. He's probably the wealthiest one in my entire family. He has over 200 restaurants. So that thing developed that way. Growing up in the restaurant business, started off as the dishwasher, the busser. My family did Thanksgiving. We fed the homeless every year. So I got to see what poverty and what dysfunction looks like. And then I worked my way up all the way to I ran the kitchen. And then I my uncle was hard on me, but I ran a tight ship. It was funny, both, because we all owned restaurants. So I'd watch my dad manage people, and he loved people. So his labor cost was high. He never wanted to phase people out.
Yeah.
But he ran a tight ship on food cost. My uncle his philosophy is I'm firing the lowest on the totem pole every month. So, and he would make me fire people so he built this thing into me where I got very unemotionally attached to business, because even if my friends I had to fire them, but I was still learning how to be a hard ass is the only way to put it, but you'd have to be tough and tough love, but still maintain relationships and friendships. And what would happen is people wouldn't like my uncle because, like, I could tell when my uncle pulled up to a restaurant because everyone would start cleaning and they'd get all nervous. I mean, he put the fear of God in everybody. And so everyone would hug my dad when they came in. When my uncle rolled up, even though he rolled up in the flash car. I mean, that's why, you talk about CashFlow Quest. I got to get some of that out because by the time I was 18, I had to have the car, the Porsche. I had to have the blinged out watches, 25 grand. I had to have all this stuff because my uncle built all this like status into materialism. If I would have not had that influence and realized, I would have been retired at 40. But it took me probably till I was 35 to dig out from some bad mindsets around money. But my uncle made it and he could afford it, but he built up he'd always give me his car on a date or always give me so it built some of these paradigms that I'm still reversing even today that I won't let my kids have. But that's amazing. But to see that, so everyone stole from my uncle. So because they didn't like him, so that's why food costs were so high. They were stealing beer. Full kegs would go missing, but no one would steal from my dad. So it's amazing to learn.
Leadership.
Can I be a little bit of both? Can I still be firm and still phase people and still keep labor costs down and still keep food costs because I love people and people know that I love them? So it became this game. And so when I owned my own restaurants, I just ran a tight. I look at numbers every night, and then I go figure it out and empower people, and then and then chiropractic, same sort of way. I just realized most people get into business and they want to prove themselves, do it on their own. I said, I'm going to look at this like an internship. I went and found the top 3 chiropractors in the country. I worked for one for free. Said, I'm going to make you money, and I hope you pay me a percentage. I went and hired one as a coach. So everything I made, I gave it to the coach to coach me. And then the third one, I dated his daughter, so he'd give me anything I needed. I'm successful today because of those 3 doctors. I journal a lot, so I know where I came from, and I never want to forget where I come from. So I'm big into big events. Every month I sit down and I kind of journal like the top things of the month, my biggest wins for the month, my biggest losses for the month, my learning lessons. So I go through this whole kind of like 10 question debrief with myself. But going back to that whole thing is just knowing that when you're unpackaging all those questions, I get to go back and look what made me. I made $893 my first month in practice. And then the crazy thing is I had to give 60% to the owner. So my first year, I literally made $60,000 as a doctor, divided that by 60%. I wasn't survived. I was living on credit cards. But I call my dad and be like, Dad, I just slammed the door on my Prelude and the door fell off because down here in San Diego, it rusted out. And I was like, I suck, dude. I was embarrassed, parking away. My dad's like, hang in there. And I said, Dad, my friend's making $10,000 a month right now. He opened his own practice. So when you're barely hanging on, when you're running up credit card debt, when your life sucks, when your door falls off your Prelude, all my friends, like $10,000 felt like $100,000 a month. And they're going to party downtown. They're doing everything. And I was so disciplined. I'd be like, if I get 10 new patients by Friday, I'm going to go out Friday night and have a steak. Well, I wouldn't get it. So, I was eating at home, eating top ramen. You know what I mean? I was just so disciplined, hard on myself. Then finally, my dad's like, hold on. The end of the first year, I started building momentum. Second year, I crushed it. And so I went to go renegotiate with this guy because now I proved my value. And I was the greatest associate this dude ever had. I was all about value add, to the point where he couldn't practice without me. That's how big of a thing. And the truth is, when I left, he was so pissed. And the only reason I left is because he was so out of integrity with what he did to me. I left due to integrity reasons. And that was the greatest thing ever. And my lesson was, my friends in those first 2 years, you're right, now they're making $15,000 a month. I made nothing for 2 years. But the day I opened my first month in practice, I made $40,000. And guess what? It went up and up and up, and I just built the momentum and started crushing to the point where what I realized was sad is they built the best they could because they wouldn't get mentorship coaching. They wouldn't have conversations like this. And they might still today, 15, 20 years later, maybe made $20,000 a month.
So is it a subscription model? Like what's the best version? So it kind of went into
It's not like a best version. It's just run a business how you know how to run a business.
But there's probably different structures.
Yeah. Chiropractic, it's like all over the place. You could be anything. I'm just not an ambulance chaser. I have a real defined model. Like I wrote people that don't know what they want without clarity.
Yeah.
Fuzzy targets don't get hit. And so I knew what I want. I wanted to take care of families, pregnancy, little kids. I wanted joy around. I had already been, I was working with the head guy for the Niners for years. I came down here to, be the chiropractor for the Chargers way back in the day with my buddy Sean and Marty Schottenheimer was a dream. I was a huge Kansas City fan back in the day. So when he was I was like, this is going to be amazing. But I didn't like late nights or prima donnas or these players that called me at 2 a.m. and said, hey, can you come take care of me? And I could tell they were partying. I was like, bro, this isn't the life. But I was single and I didn't care. So when I sat down and defined what kind of practice I really want, and then I could just, that's what I attracted. You attract who you are and what you want.
So then you're crushing it in chiropractic. Did you get into anything else? You've been a chiropractic guy for a long time.
Ooh, this will be 2001. So what's that? 24 years. At 24 years, yeah, I've been in it. I became president of my, so I did anything you could do. I MC events. I've been the keynotes in my profession. I was the largest association statewide chiropractic president. I mean, I thought I was just going to go take over the field. And then God got a hold of me and told me, hey, my ways are not your ways. And I was super involved with my church, but only because I met a radical pastor who was crazy from Australia, and he spoke into my life. And then, we got ordained in 2017, and my wife and I have been pastoring ever since. And it's way more radical than chiropractic. I mean, it's never boring. I mean, that's just been a whole nother crazy thing. And I just realized chiropractic was more performance-based, probably maybe edifying my ego because I was good at it and I was becoming an influence in my profession. I realized I can make major change in it, but I don't think it was good for who I needed to be. Probably not good as a dad. I just realized I probably would have been a workaholic and it would have messed up my family and messed up. I was 100% on tilt for Chiro world. And when I had my first kid, we were told we were having a boy, but God knows what you need. On the day of delivery, a girl came out. I wasn't mentally prepared, emotionally prepared. I had thousands of dollars worth of toys. And I was such a goal setter. I've been teaching goal setting, which I still have, a couple books on goal setting. I had great mentors because my dad and my uncle always sought those mentalities, got into personal development, wrote some books early on. And then I started teaching goal setting in 2008. And now it's kind of like my go-to. I teach it every year. I have hundreds of people. I've probably had 20,000 people go through my goal setting program. I've taken Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins. I've taken the best of everything out there and blended it together, added some faith to make it like, I wanted is this biblical or just a bunch of personal development dudes that, are hype men? And so I wanted science and methodology of personal development with the foundation of biblical backing it up. That's my kind of passion. I teach it once a year. I used to teach it 4 times a year. So I teach it once a year. My kids, I just wrote a kids journal for goal setting. So my kids all go through goal setting now. But it ties me into when that little girl came out, rocked me up. But thank God, if I would have had a boy, I'd have been very performance driven. I would have been really hard on him. That's all I knew. But that little girl broke my heart. I wept and wept and cried and everything that could describe that. And then I read this book, Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, and everything in my world changed. I said, no one's going to beat me as a dad. And I went hardcore studying the psychology of human development about how to be a dad. All that to be said, the personal development is like, I want to be the best version of myself in different areas, and you got to relearn and rethink about mistakes I've made. And so I'm very open with my kids. Don't do this. Dad was an idiot. You know what? This is what you want to do. Like yesterday, my kid, we speak life over people. We don't stop, we don't speak death. And my little boy called this other kid a name. They were playing football. He got passionate. He lost. And then his little brother, 6-year-old, was getting him all ticked off, fired up. I call it rage quitting. And I'm like, don't be a rage quitter. And anyway, so he called this kid an idiot. Little Mare knows we don't talk like that. I went up to Maverick. I said, Maverick, did you call him an idiot? All I was going to do is make him go apologize, embarrass him a little bit. He said, no, I didn't. So I went into the kid and asked, this kid wouldn't lie to me. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get Maverick in trouble. He did call me an idiot. So I go, get up in your room. And not because you called him an idiot, because you lied to me. So we went through a whole debrief this morning, and I'm making him journal today. He's already journaled. And we had to talk through all the emotion. He was suppressing that emotion. So we had a whole 15-minute conversation about where it stands. And so you got to get these kids talking about their emotions. And what happens is most people are emotionally suppressed. They don't talk about business. They're embarrassed because they're attached to when they made a mistake with money. So they have shame attached to it. And I think the more we do it with our kids, the better it heals up adults, because we came from a generation that didn't share their emotions. One of my favorite quotes is, what walks in fathers runs in kids.
Yeah.
And then the cycle, they say, is 3 generations to get worse, 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 until finally someone says, that's it, I'm breaking the cycle. Bam. And then it repeats itself, and then it treads down. So it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
It's all cyclical, and people should study that, because then they can hear themselves or their fathers. You know, we have defined, my wife and I, what's coming from my wife's side of the family, what's coming from my side of the family, and we try to uproot every weed there is. You know, no one's perfect.
No, and it's hard. And there's some old roots in there deep for everybody and from different angles and
everything.
Yeah, we got rocked at Date with Destiny.
Yeah.
We went after Dad passed, and it was like, let's go. It was months, so we were fine. And I'd say the right shape to go, because it was like 6+ months after.
Yeah.
And end of the year, we had to like close a couple deals. We're in escrows. When he passes, like, you know, financial challenges to, you know, deal with, all the stuff. I had shared that with you. To untangle him, just legal stuff that accumulates from a guy being intertwined so deep.
Yeah.
And so anyways, we go Date with Destiny, and it was 6 whole days.
Oh, I know it.
Did you go?
I know all of it. I went through everything he ever did.
So
Cool.
Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny, I seriously recommend it for everybody. It should be like baseline foundational knowledge for like a 16, 18-year-old.
I got a better one for baseline.
Or I'm sorry, but
I think that should be
more advanced. Like
more
18.
advanced. Yeah. Date with Destiny, you can't put an age these days, you know, because I'm around youth all the time, and we got youth groups, and we have a big church. So I can tell you, we have a soft generation. They would that was just too much for them right now. So my favorite one, like, I wouldn't marry my wife until she went to Landmark Forum. So Landmark Forum, if you work for me 6 months or more, I pay for Landmark, and you go to a 3-day Landmark event. I need everyone to hear the language, because most people are running rackets, you know, and telling themselves stories. And it's not that they're just insecure. It's a product of our human nature right now. So if we all went through this, running a racket is telling yourself a story that you've totally made up. So you know what you know what you don't know. But the huge part of this circle is you don't know what you don't know. And unless you spend everything you can on shrinking, you don't know what you don't know, you will live a very limited life with the very big ceiling over it. But the more that you can expose something, you now know you don't know it, or you know it. And you can find out what your interests are, and you dig after it. That is foundational principles. Otherwise, you just got your monkey mind or running rackets right now. And so most people, I just call them out. You know, I'm like, yeah, we're not going to have this conversation. You're running way too many rackets. And when you want to talk about, if I told you I was going to be there, guess what that means?
I will be there.
I will be there until I prove otherwise. And if I'm late, then I'll own it and fall on the sword, because people have this thing about integrity. That's why they have no money, because integrity is something, it's not that you have it or you don't have it. You're either in integrity or out of integrity. People use the word wrong. So they go, oh, he's got no integrity. I'm like, well, that's not a true statement. He's out of integrity with you, it sounds like. So what I do, if you're, best example, so I'm late, I just call you and I fall on the sword and say, hey, I'm so sorry, because I'm out of integrity, I'm late. But the minute I apologize and I own it, I'm now back in integrity.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to get better. And we got to have this forgiveness and try to stay in integrity with our word, because your word is your bond. And the more that we can be around integrous people, the more we get deals done, like back in the day, handshake it, let's get it going. And it's the speed of trust. That's a great book. I have everybody read The Speed of Trust I do business with, because I need to know there's different levels of trust here, and that the level that we're going to go big on is going to be the speed of trust thing. Because here's what happens is, the minute you erode trust and then you're out of integrity, or they're out of integrity, if you don't make it right, then the deals start falling apart. Business partners still split. But I'm like, no, this is a marriage, man. We're going to figure this out. Like, I went in and I opened a bunch of restaurants, and I had some good friends. We all did church together, everything. Dude, I sat them down, told them, this is what I'm worried about. And they were all good with it until I put it in the contract, and they were reading all the stuff. I said, yeah, we have a disagreement. We work it out, or I buy you out. There's no option. But we'll all vote. But this is how it's going to work. You don't have an option to like stay in and suffer through. I do no business where my core values entertain suffering.
Yeah.
I don't need to do businesses that cause me an energy leak, is what I call it. So if it's an energy leak, you're out, I buy you out. Unless you're in a position to buy me out, then you buy me out. and it's going to be a fair market value, so no one gets screwed. We were friends before, we'll be friends after. You just might have a sour taste in your mouth. Sure enough, came down, and then my uncle, I had told him, yeah, I'm just nervous about this one guy. So we went out, we were at a cigar bar having a cigar, and my uncle goes, hey, did you tell this so-and-so what you're nervous about? I go, oh, no, I forgot who I was dealing with. My uncle exposes everything. You know, he just wants to know. Pull no punches. He goes, listen, so-and-so, you know, Matt's worried about this is how you're going to show up. This is your background. This is his experience with you. And this guy couldn't believe it. Why wouldn't you tell me? I said, bro, I've tried to bring it up to you like 3 times. You won't listen. So my uncle's just drilling. He goes, I give you my word. Anyways, he was the first partner we had to buy out for the exact same reason. But it just came, it worked out. We're friends now, but it went through like 2 years. He didn't talk to me. And it was just like sad, but I was like, I wasn't out of integrity. This is the stuff I was worried about, but there was a blind spot. You know what you know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. He was living in there. And we all got to work on these things. Otherwise, we'll hit ceilings. So every time I hit a ceiling somewhere, I go, I wonder why I'm here. What don't I know? I need to hang out with bigger thinkers. Then sure enough, I hang out with bigger thinkers, boom. And then what happens is you don't even know. It's so subtle. You're hanging out with a certain level of people, but they're just talking bad about a situation. Maybe not even bad, but they're like, nah, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I get around big entrepreneurs that think big, like, dude, what an opportunity. How are you going to do that? Hey, let me help you do it. I'm like, really? And then they help you do it. Next thing you know, like, I'm here. They're still stuck down there.
When people get hung up on those small little things, you know, sometimes you just need to handshake and part ways, like, or remove that person from, you don't spend so much time with them. Like, you're getting hung up in the minutia and like weird connections that really are going nowhere.
I had a trauma where I lost money, got stabbed in the back, lost $180,000. That affected me for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got this trust issue. I walked away from like 2 very lucrative deals just because it was a business partner. And what I was doing was I was self-sabotaging. So I literally went and got prayed, went and got deliverance, went and got healed, talked to my, you know, it's like people think, you know, counselors. I just look at, like, I have a marriage counselor. I call that a marriage coach. I went to my counselor, processed some stuff. I was like, this is like a therapy coach, just helping me process where I got hurt, why I suppressed it. I need to start trusting people again. Then I landed 2 big deals. Then I got the property of my life. You've seen it, flew over it, sent me the picture. I wouldn't have got that if I was still stuck in my hurt little self. For my friend that stabbed me in the back, no, I had to go get some healing, did the right. So I'm processing right. I can see deals right. I could do a handshake right.
Oh, and then let that go.
Let it go. You're holding on to it.
Yeah. Some quote was, you are the reason for all of the relationships in your life and the way that they are. And it's like, whoa. Like, you tolerate, whatever you tolerate is the relationship that you have. And so it's like,
Were you happy where you're at financially?
yeah.
Yeah, I know. Because that's why you're there.
And we're just getting started, baby.
I know that. But let me just tell you something. When I asked that to somebody that just is barely getting by, living paycheck to paycheck, I said, are you happy where you are financially? They go, no. I said, well, you're actually lying to yourself. Because if you weren't happy with where you're at, you wouldn't be there. People hate that.
Yep.
When it hurts bad enough, you'll do what you need to do. But some people are pain driven. I tell people, well, when it hurts bad enough, you'll call me. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs. And it's sad that 88% of most people are pain driven. 12% of people are pleasure driven.
Yeah. It's so often that I talk to somebody that, like, hey, how's it going? You know, how are things? Oh, good. How was work? Fine.
If you said that to me, I'd be like, oh, fine? Is that feelings inside never expressed? Or frisky, insecure, neurotic, and emotional? It means one of the 2 things. And then they freak out a little bit, like, oh, who are you? I'm like, it's not about me. It's about you thinking you're fine. Change it.
Yeah, it's wild. I'd say that's the best thing. Once you start being proactive, and like early on and we decided to adopt the team training for everybody through Tony's
Cool.
training, because so that we had the same, like, you use those terms.
Language, yeah.
We hire off the DISC assessment, which is just one of those personality.
Yeah, love it. I do the disc with all my people.
Because like now we hire for like the holes that we have.
June 1st, I do strength finders every June for my team. I still do disc. I do that in December.
Oh, okay.
So twice a year, disc, and then
And you retest to make sure, like, get the updated reads, basically.
if you're hanging out with me, your level should be leveling up. I don't want to make sure your mindset's leveling up. So strength finders is even more. It's more my favorite than disc.
Okay, you have a current DISC assessment for you?
Not a current one.
What, do you have one recently, last couple years? But I bet I could guess yours.
What?
I think you're an IC.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're planning. That's like, I don't plan that well because it doesn't mean that much to me.
Mm.
Because I'd rather not. I like to be in the uncertain. I like to be invited somewhere random and be able to go.
I was like you. But what happened was I got invited to this mastermind, the Genius Network, and I was listening to some of these guys, and this one guy said something. He goes, how many days a week, do you work? I was like, oh, yeah, really, probably 5 days a week. And he goes, oh, okay, that's cool. And he goes, yeah, I work 15. He broke it down for me as like, how often you sleep? He goes, I like to sleep 7 hours. How many hours are left in the day? So he's breaking it down. He goes, so he does his whole personal life for 6 hours. He works for 6 hours.
Yeah.
He sleeps for 6 hours. And then he has this one like mastermind for like when he's developing his business.
Like Ed Milet, he does something similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. Ed Milet learned it from this guy in the Genius Network. I
Okay.
just can't remember his name, but Ed does it. But what I love about that, I started reframing and looking how I chunk my day down, but I still have freedom. Like I said, I can throw a river trip in there. I can throw a trip over here.
Well, and then you're not netting like 5 days a week. You are still leaving plenty of room for that family leisure, like open calendar when you're in those days.
But I mean, one of my biggest principles is values-based decision making.
Yep.
So most people don't even know their values. And I'd be like this, they make some decision. I'm like, why'd you make that decision? And they go, well, it's what my wife wanted to do. Okay. So then the wife comes over. Hey, why'd you guys decide to buy that Cadillac? Thought you were trying to save for a home. Oh, because of this, they'll give me, so it's called justifications. But then when I pull up their core values, because I've worked it through with them, I go, these are your core values. Tell me which one it lines up with. Doesn't line up with one of them. So now I know they're living incongruent. And the level of incongruency in your life will be the level of destruction in your life. And they don't get, so like if things flow, you're talking about cash flow, things are either moving with the current or you're going against the current. When you have these subconscious core values, but you're making decisions in business or life that actually rage against these because now you're basing it in pleasure, short term, I really need it, not being disciplined. It's not values-based decision making. You are subconsciously you're fighting yourself subconsciously in your brain. You just don't know it. So then it's called the self-sabotage, but that's why you're still stuck. If you've taken the time to do your core values, find out what's really important to you, and then I have a meeting with my wife. All right, values-based decision making.
Yeah.
What is it? And I'm the worst because I'm like emotional. I want to go buy it. And I've gone out and I've come home and there's a new RV. And my wife's like, what the hell is that? I'm like, I know. It was such a good deal. I had to get it. It's Black Friday deal. She goes, babe, we were trying to do this. I mean, if I would have just stayed on track and just but see, and now I have to redefine passive income. Because what happened was I have always lived by the motto, I want experiences for my family. But experiences for my family have cost me a lot of money, which I regret zero. But now I'm getting to the point where the minute my daughter turns 16, so I'm 4 years away from that as of this date, I am shifting every gear and I have a year-by-year plan. The minute I go 16, I'm going all wealth accumulation. I'll sell, downsize everything. I'm going to go buy doors everywhere. Because then my kids will be coming into high school. My daughter will be a sophomore. So I'll get 2 years of high school. I'll get my son who'll be coming into 8th grade. Then my other one will be well behind him. But I'm literally going to go cash flow king. I'm going to go buy up all these properties, massive passive income. And I'm just going to spend time with my kids and protect them from the world. Right now, experiences and buying toys and razors and river houses and I don't know, $1 million houseboats. This is the life you could live one day if you work hard. Then I'm going to show you what it takes to train for it. But then I'm going to spend the time instead of being the absent dad working his butt off. But I have to change money philosophies. Because right now my money philosophy is go spend it, make experiences, buy toys, buy all this stuff. Now is that financial wisdom? No, it's freaking stupid. But you know why I'm doing it? It lines up with my core values. Live epic experiences for my kids. Now that philosophy will change as soon as my oldest gets to the point where she's 16. That's the day. I don't need that massive house.
You should I think though, you should bring him along for the ride if you can. If my dad was like at 12 years old, figure out the main math you need to underwrite deals, and like you can run. You don't even need to go to high school.
Yeah.
I would have been doing deals at 12,
So
13, 14.
I just wrote my 4-year curriculum. I'll send it to you and you can vet it for me. It's a 4-year biblically based curriculum on how to turn my kids into black belts mentally, emotionally, and physically. They learn all about real estate and banking, investment banking, their junior year in high school. Because I got to teach all this foundational stuff before they can understand. Without the why, there's no comply. My whole point is my money philosophy might be different than yours right now. I'm at a phase of my life.
Totally.
But the minute that phase changes, I'm very aware this isn't a long-term retirement plan. That changes with passive income. Passive income is where the game's at. CashFlow Quest, as you're living it now.
So you like real estate? Let's wrap up with that.
I love it.
So you want to go into like apartments or storage or?
Well, right now I'm doing land development. I just got lot splits. I'm doing that. I'm subdividing it right now. I'm doing 1-acre parcels. I'm doing 3 of them. I'm developing my 2. I'm going to turn those into my first 2 doors with ADUs on them and a JDU. So that's going to be my compound. And then I'm taking all those assets and I'm doing some high-end development in Park City before the Olympics get there. So I have a window of about 5 years to really pop Park City. So then I'm going to develop some high-end homes. That way I get my high-end cabin paid for, and then I bought 4 other properties that pays for my 1. I'm free and clear. Then I got to see what the opportunity is based on, listen, with technology, AI, and Bitcoin, everything's changing faster than the speed of life. It's like I need to hire a full-time personal assistant just to stay ahead of the game. Like right now, like look, Bitcoin hit 109 today.
How much Bitcoin do you think people should own?
The better question is this, in my opinion. Show me how much you own in life insurance that you become your own banker. I'm way more into that. Everything else is a tool to become your own banker. If you are a part of the banking system, you're part of the world and the world can shut you down. If you're a part of insurance, insurance was invented before the banking world. So banking has no control over insurance, which means you're outside of taxes. So if you want tax shelters, tax advantages, and everything you want to teach your kids, all my kids will be financially free by 25. And I open up policies on them, and I've been funding them since they were born. The minute I got their
Birth certificate or whatever.
Birth certificate, I went and got a life insurance policy on them and have been funding it ever since. And I'm going to teach my daughter when she gets her first car, she doesn't know this yet, but she's going to buy it. And then she's going to pay back her own bank.
She'll have her interest-only payment on that. Yeah.
That's it. And then that will be accumulating wealth. She doesn't really ever have to pay it back, but I'm going to tell her, you be paying the bank, pay yourself back. And then when if she goes and moves somewhere and she wants to go with girlfriends, she'll buy the condo. All her girlfriends will rent rooms from her and pay back her bank account. And so I'm going to teach them how they can just build wealth. Right now, it's only $250,000 policies, and I mech'd them all, but I'm going to teach them how to get bigger and bigger ones. So that's a way better fundamental game to me than Bitcoin. But I think you should diversify. The only thing I don't believe in is 401ks. I like gold, silver.
It's outside.
Bitcoin.
It's the OG Bitcoin, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so AI, we're playing with it a lot. And I actually think it's time to wind your watch. I'll give you the example. A billionaire friend of mine, he developed a software and he paid like $2 million to develop it and incorporate AI. You could do the same thing for 50 grand today.
Oh yeah, I get that.
So like
you got to know AI to do that.
But the development of it is going, like every kid is learning it right now.
Yeah.
So the talent is like overpriced right now. Like if you want to hire a really good guy, they're $250 to $500 probably with stock options and the company you're growing and all the AI crap that machine learning. But if you just waited, everyone will know.
Yeah, it's true. But here's my point with the AI. Like, here's a great example.
Yeah.
I took all my podcasts I've ever done. I ran it through AI. It calculated everything I ever said and put a workbook of nuggets together. It was insane. I would have never been able to pay someone to go listen to every podcast, and it did it over a day, pull the nuggets out, built a manual for me. So my next goal setting is from like 200 podcasts. Every year that I taught goal setting, I said, pull the best out of it, because I videoed every one. I uploaded all my videos. It took all my stuff. Now it's uploading all my Maverick Entrepreneurs videos. Tell me which things are out of date, what videos I need to update, what information's false, and then finding all the truth.
Yeah.
Building me data points. And then if someone wants to go on there, and then all they have to do is say, would you like a PDF for that? Boom. Because I'm teaching all this fundamental business stuff in my Maverick Entrepreneur. But with AI now, someone go, I really like that episode. Would you like the PDF of the net? Boom. I don't have to create it anymore.
And to your point, like if you have just like some 20-year-old kid that you hire to run this kind of innovation on your behalf,
Yeah.
that's all it takes.
Oh, I'm an 80. I had this guy, paid him $5,000 to do a website for this new performance center I'm doing. Joking around, I had AI. I said, what kind of website can do? It pumped out a website. Literally, I posted it and it's already moving up the top. I'm like, I wasted.
So that's my point is, so like the guys just did a personal brand website for me.
Yeah.
As almost like a quasi joke as like, oh, well, this AI and this AI, they can talk and da da da. Anyways, $20, maybe $35 all in. I have a whole website in my name, bought the domain, and I have a chat bot, tells everyone who I am.
Yeah.
$35.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but just think if you didn't know that though, you're missing out on those opportunities.
yeah. But my point is, I don't think you're missing by like not investing in the companies. It's more about the tools.
I just had my attorney go through this. I might be opening this huge franchise from Australia. So I had him go through the contracts and everything. It showed all this stuff. So I gave it to my attorney. My attorney's like, yeah, it looks good. Made a couple changes. I put it in through AI. What would you change in this? Oh, you're vulnerable here, here, here. He goes, I just learned a very valuable lesson. I'm going to run it through.
We should be doing this now. We had the same thing happen where it was an honest miss from our attorney. And it was like, damn, this could be interpreted two ways.
It was just such an eye-opener to me. I was like, how have I made it this far in my life?
Yeah, dude.
I can't live without it.
I think because the technology game's now going to evolve so fast that I think Google might be around, but let's just say like a Dell or some of the big, huge companies.
Oh, they're all peeing their pants a little bit.
This is going to change the whole game to where like I'm really excited because I don't want to have to look at a screen. I just want to interact. I think though, to your point, I think the hard asset owners are going to win. And because...
No, they will.
What else is there going to be other than a bunch of noise and then it's going to roll up to the big dogs.
Yeah.
They're going to own all the AI. We're all going to be subscribed using it as tools. But then if you focus on accumulating real assets now, you can always implement the tool.
I'm looking like, where's beautiful areas that I can buy 100 acres and call it no tech camp? That's what Lake Powell is to us.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that we're doing this. So we have a lot of funny conversations in the industry with people, and that they think that eventually everyone's gonna be living in trailers in the virtual realm, because you'll just need a box with a bathroom, and then you'll be on the internet and you just will be working and doing everything. Have you seen Player One?
Oh yes. I love that.
It's a trailer park. So like in the industry, people are like, yeah, Player One's coming. We're going to buy up every trailer park because you only need a trailer.
That's right.
I think then what's going to happen is the cool thing will become detachment from it. You don't have true personal connection through the computer.
They set a record in 2020, 2021, 2022 with most RVs ever sold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The reason for that, people didn't want to be on a Zoom screen. They want to be out having real conversations in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to do it. Otherwise, we get sucked into it. Did we cover everything? Did we cover anything?
Oh my God. I think we covered a lot.
I heard the pivot. You're pivoting here soon.
Got a master plan.
I do have a master plan. I'm a goal setter.
I love your goal setting. I love your philosophy.
I think, okay, I'll nudge you. I think you build a brand and you raise equity and buy a ton of stuff.
Show me the way, Yoda.
The structure's easy.
God.
The key is just
I'm coachable.
Picking what you want to buy. Dude, look at Grant Cardone. Do you know how much money he's raised just on his... And you have a big personal brand. To where like it's local, but it's big, And that's the key to begin, is just like you put a deal together and build the team.
Show me the way.
It's not hard. It's just building teams. Honestly, it's people. And if you know people, you can build
I love building teams.
So like, we have conversations with all sorts of people that are now pivoting from different realms. Now, if they're older, typically they don't want to build the team because they did it and sold it. Yeah. And now they're going to passive. They're with the grandkids. That's our bread and butter.
Yeah, well, I sold my restaurants because I realized that wasn't my lane. My lane is developing teams and buying assets. I don't want to manage people. So I felt like I was talking to me, had a little prayer walk. He's like, no, don't. This is what your family did. It's not your legacy. So like that, I called my uncle. I said, I'm out.
it really is whatever asset excites you. You're already coaching people.
Yep.
But everyone can't be a syndicator.
Yeah.
No.
Everyone doesn't want to be.
Yep.
But if you have the interest and you want to go real estate passive cash flow, you'll be limited by your personal money. If you only deploy your personal money,
Yeah.
you can only buy so much.
Yeah.
And you're not getting any younger. So like the faster you can deploy more capital,
Yeah.
the bigger the wealth growth will be.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I have this analogy. It's like I got the right people in the right car, but are they in the right seat? So that's what I
You
got
might
to
have
figure
to
out.
build a completely different team for
Okay.
the real estate side.
Yeah, I
I don't
understand.
know the entire.
No. That's what I mean. Even when that's how I look at my office now. I want to make sure the people are in the right car, in the right seat. Because I've been in where I go, nope, I got to take this one out of the back seat, put them in the driver. And all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, it's a dance.
It's a dance. So now I got to figure out, is the car even appropriate? Or in this new model over here, I need a bus. Like, how many seats do I need? I don't know. It's all new. Listen, I'll make you a margarita at the river and you show me what you know.
Sounds good. So our goal was 2,000 units.
Okay.
We painted a target and we started going after it. We started with 28 units. And then now we're headed towards 3,000 this year. And then we're going to 5, and our goal is 5,000 but better quality as well. So we're holding ourselves accountable on quality, location, the quality of the assets themselves, because the headaches are the huge value add deals with a lot of infrastructure issues.
Yeah.
So we're selling those off and putting the money into better quality. But then going to 5,000 will be roughly $1 billion under management. Obviously, we have a chunk of that as the general partners, but like then you just keep going and you keep growing and you just get
snowball.
better. And then it's
look how wise are you guys just over the last 2 years. Like even your confidence and what you say and how you structure deals, you're already leveling up. So it's a learning curve of, I didn't know that, but now I know it.
Well, and then as you learn more, that you're like, oh.
You might not have been able to get in the game at quality, so you just had to get in.
We got in.
Yeah.
And we're going to make money on those.
Yeah, of course you will. But what I'm saying is now you're wiser, you've been around the block, and that got you in the door. It's called box jumping. You box jump up, and now it's quality does matter.
Yes.
These other things, you don't want headaches. Back in the fourth, you were young, didn't have as many kids, you could handle headaches. But now you're like, I'd rather pay more than have a headache.
When we have a track record, we can look at the 15 deals we've sold from start to finish. We've held and then sold.
Yeah.
The best returns were the simplest in the best locations. It's not hard if you just go back to quality.
The one thing I always say is once you find your thing that you're good at, don't deviate.
Yeah.
Yes, play to your strength.
Play to your strengths. I know when people, they start going over here to Blue Ocean Strategies because they read a book and next thing you know, they just lost 10 million. I was like, okay.
Oh, the venture capital money we threw at, more or less for fun, to learn and to grow our network.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get a seat at the table then. We'll coin flip if they ever, come around and make any money.
Yeah.
We'll probably end up writing them off.
Yeah.
But we learned that we make so much more money if we just focus on our core, and we would have been probably better off if we just held that as reserves to grow.
Yeah.
And or throw it at the team.
My dad says everything biblical principles, you take, 10% of this, 10% of this, 10% of this. And so I have this whole philosophy on my, I have a jar system for savings that I teach my kids. But anyways, in the same business, he said, son, come up with this, do this, this. But one of these 10s, call it your play account. You put 10% over here. So every time, you're taking your draw, just throw 10% over there. That is just in case you got an itch that you really want to scratch. You can only do a deal that you've accumulated that 10%. So it's been cool because that's kind of like my money I can afford to lose. It just grows. I put 10% over there, 10%. So then if I want to throw it in Bitcoin, or I want to throw it in gold, or I want to throw it in, I did some art stuff for a while. I just, whatever I got in there. So if I want like an RV and I only have enough money over here for a TV, sorry, I'm buying a TV. You know what I mean? But when you let it grow and grow and grow, then some of those things have helped you. But at the end of the day, it's not hurting anything else because that's your play account.
Yeah.
And in business, that's really been helpful for like how you venture out into my restaurants. Cost me, it was just out of my play account. Now that I might do this other deal out of Australia, it's going to be out of the play account. But never know. It's all a learning curve.
Higher risk, but potentially higher return.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's out of your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't hit a home run, everything you swing at, but boy, when you do hit that home run, it's so much sweeter.
And sometimes you got to pay to play.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for your time today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Talk to you forever.
Oh, man, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
You guys are great. Thanks for lunch.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining us on another podcast episode here with CashFlow Quest. Dr. Matt, thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you.
See you in the next one.
See you on the next one. Cheers.